Game day is coming, and what's the Super Bowl without your favorite foods? I'm Steve White on the Rural Radio Network, talking now with Cami Wells from Nebraska Extension. She's a registered dietitian and extension educator here in Nebraska. Cami, thanks for being with us. And thinking about Super Bowl, big game coming up. It's hard to think of a day like that without some food. It's always a good time to get together with people and eat things. I've heard from you in the past that if food kind of sits out, depending on its temperature, it can kind of get into a danger zone, and we don't want people going home and waking up during the night thinking, oh, what did I eat, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely those kind of Super Bowl turns into a full day event, I think. And so we usually have food with that. And so just making sure that you're handling it carefully and have a plan ahead of time, and how to make sure that that food is safe.
And that probably means keeping the hot things hot and the cold things cold. Is that fair?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have hot foods, they're not only tastier when they're hot, definitely they're much safer. And so if you have, a slow cooker, if you can put things in your oven, a warming tray, chafing dish, any of that, you want to keep things above 140 degrees. And if you have cold foods, you want to keep them at 40 degrees or less. So that may be putting them on ice, keeping them in a cooler, those kinds of things, just to make sure that your guests are safe and everybody goes home healthy and happy.
And when we think of cool things, I mean, lots of dips and sour cream based product and some of those things, if that's been sitting out all afternoon at room temperature, that's probably starting to not be so good, isn't it?
Exactly. So about 2 hours is the max that you want those sitting out at room temperature. So if you get to halftime, it's been a couple hours and things are sitting out, maybe that means time to just go ahead and pitch it after that. But again, if you think you're going to be for an all-day event, really thinking about how do we keep those hot foods hot and those cold foods cold. And then certainly you can keep those if you have leftovers, and everybody's going to be safe.
And if you do have leftovers, we need to be careful how we take care of those too, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So if you have lots of hot food that's left over, it doesn't just cool down super quick. And so we want to make sure that it's not staying in that temperature where bacteria really like to grow too long. So if you have large quantities, you want to go ahead and put it maybe in smaller pans, smaller dishes. You want to make sure that you maybe put, a few ice cubes in there to keep it cool, or put it in some type of ice bath as well. But if you have a lot of hot food, it's really hard for your refrigerator to cool that down effectively. So thinking about some ways to help it as well, just to make sure that food stays safe.
That reminds me, I actually just made a batch of chili last week and it was too much. I divided it into like 4 different containers, smaller things. And then when I heated it up, I heated it in the microwave, not back into the slow cooker. Am I doing it the right way?
Yeah, exactly. So, those soups that are a little bit thicker as well, they take a long time to cool. And so you did it perfectly, definitely doing those smaller containers. That's going to help. And our slow cookers aren't designed to reheat. So, you want to go ahead and, warm it up in the microwave or on top of the stove. And then if you want to put it in your slow cooker and hold it, there so people can eat it, over a period of time while it's hot, that's great as well.
Let's talk then about transporting things. So I'm driving somewhere and I've got my famous cheesy potatoes or whatever it is, and I need to keep that good, or I've got my famous dip or whatever it is, whether it's hot or cold. How do I need to think about transporting something somewhere?
Yeah, so the cold foods are, fairly easy. We're used to that. We want to make sure if we're driving a significant distance, that we want to keep those things in a cooler, use ice packs, gel packs, those kinds of things. Hot food is another one that's a little bit harder. If you're just going a short distance and you're taking those cheesy potatoes out of your oven and you're bringing it to serve, it's not a problem. But if you have a long ways to go, it's really hard to keep that hot for a long period of time. So you may want to prepare those cheesy potatoes and then actually not bake them until you get to your destination. That way they're nice and hot and safe, and they haven't been in that temperature danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees where bacteria like to grow.
And we don't like to think about that bacterial component, but it's kind of all around us. And if stuff sits out and it kind of gets into you said there's kind of a zone there where it can get, can that bad stuff kind of grow pretty quickly then?
It can. So certainly under the right conditions, bacteria can divide every 20 minutes. So if it's got moisture, if it's got, that nice warm room temperature or a little bit warmer temperature that we like, 90 degrees or so, that's going to multiply, pretty darn quickly. And so we just want to keep things out of that temperature danger zone as much as possible.
Also, while I've got you, I should ask you about eating healthy on a day like this. I know you're a registered dietitian. I'm sure you would encourage us to probably work in some fruits and some veggies and not just be eating the really fatty and the salty stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So fruits and veggies fit into so many different places. They're great with those dips. They're great just as a side dish as well. So yeah, 90% of us don't get enough fruits and vegetables. So any way that you can incorporate those, and they're fun to munch on during game time as well.
Yeah, so enjoy your game day, have fun with people, but just maybe take a few steps and think about how you're going to enjoy that food to make sure that you just enjoy it during the game and you don't wake up during the night something doesn't settle real well there.
Exactly.
Extension educator, registered dietitian Cami Wells joining us.